Okay, is everybody seeing my screen? It's a very basic latest news page. So using a client site here with their permission to do this demo, because it's easier than setting up 100 articles. So what we're going to do is basically turn a very basic blog layout that you see here into a more styled blog layout using Yoo Themes Pro's built-in layouts. So this is, you know, the thing about page builders for me, and the reason I never liked them, was that they didn't integrate with Joomla and its article system. And the thing that's a game changer for me with Yoo Themes Pro is its use of dynamic content, meaning that you can map your Joomla articles to your page builder elements. So that's basically what we're going to do this evening. So these are the latest news articles. You can see here, there's heaps of them. We've got a menu item for latest news. Go to the main menu. This is just your standard Joomla category blog menu item. An important thing when it comes to using Yoo Themes is that the amount of items displayed in the menu item is still important or still relevant, or that ultimately limits how many articles are displayed, but I'll show you that in a sec. Get out of there. So basically at the moment, this is with this particular Yoo Themes style, this is the default out of the box blog layout. Just looks like that. Okay. So from here, we can go over to Yoo Themes, dive into the page builder. I'll go to the news page. You can see our basic layout. So Yoo Themes Pro has a feature which wasn't in the original version, but when they brought in dynamic content called templates, where you can basically create templates for a number of different sections in Joomla. So we're going to go to templates. You'll see this site has a few already: single article, category blog, a news layout, which I will quickly reapply to the news page just to show you. So this is what's actually on their site. So I assign the category to this layout. I get the same articles as in the blog layout. Remembering this is all core Joomla content, but it's now laid out using this particular builder layout. So I'm just going to take that off for a second so we can go back to the basics. So again, we're back to just the original default layout out of the box. So I'm going to add a new template. Call it category news demo. So you see here we've got the page type that the template will be assigned to. I'm choosing category blog. There are quite a few different things you can do. You can assign templates to article layouts, featured articles, tags, contact and search. In this case, we'll just do the blog. I'm going to apply it to latest news. So you'll see you can apply it to whichever categories you want to apply it to. One thing I only discovered this afternoon when I was looking at it is that you can also specify whether it's on all pages or just the first page of a category. So you could have one template that loaded on the main page that might have some call to actions, some other promos, various things, and then just have a more standard template that loads on every other page, I guess. But in this case, I'm just going to keep it simple. Obviously, you can see you can also limit by tags. Anyway. The template section in here is also hierarchical in that if something is assigned to more than one category, whichever one is highest in the list is the one that will be applied. So I'm going to go to the builder from here, and you'll see that I've got nothing, no layout. I probably should have mentioned at the start that this all does use Yoo Themes Pro, so the paid version software. I don't think there actually is a free version anymore. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is with them. So I'm going to go to the library. So basically, if you have a subscription and it's expired, you'll no longer get access to the Pro layouts. You'll just get My Layouts. The Pro layouts come with the subscription, and as you can see, there's around 400 different page layouts of varying kinds. They come from their various themes that they release each month, or every 2 months, I think. And you can mix and match them, basically. So in this case, I want an index layout. It's called index, I guess, because they work in WordPress as well. I said there's all kinds of different types. I'm going to go with a basic grid layout first off. So you see that when I do this, all of my Joomla content is now gone. I've just got dummy content that's been loaded from their layout, which really isn't of much use to us. Now I'm just going to do a save just to download the media files, which I won't need. Okay, so from here, it's a pretty straightforward process to go into the grid element. See, these are all the custom items that have been added. We're going to add a new item. We actually only need to add one item for dynamic content, or at least for the basics. So you see on each field, we've got the title, which relates to the title here. Meta has been mapped to the date published, and content will be the intro text and the image. Now, if we go over to the Advanced tab, we've got an option here to make it dynamic content. So I'm going to choose Articles. I'm just going to say how many are on there. Yeah, I'll say 6. Replace them. So at this stage, I've got nothing. I've just got a blank panel down here to indicate where my new item is going. But now, and I've told it I want 6 of them, but I want to go back to the Content tab. So now I'm going to map these page builder elements to the Joomla articles. So if I click on Dynamic, you'll see I've got all of these aspects or all these elements from Joomla articles that I can link the element to. That includes custom fields, by the way. So if you've set up custom fields, you can also map them. Category links, things to do with the author. So if you want to display the author name, display the username or name. So we'll map the title. And you should see that I all of a sudden have 6 extra boxes here. There I do. Or 5 because that's the menu item, isn't it? But so it will add the date published. And under content, there's a special sort of thing in Yoo Theme Pro called the teaser, which is kind of like your intro text. And that's what I'll select for, the content is the full article. Teaser is just the intro text. Now, one thing I might just mention about this is, you'll see there's this little pencil icon next to each title, where Yoo Theme Pro allows you to add things before, after the element, or to do a find and replace within the element. On dates, it lets you format the date. And it has an option here for prefer excerpt text, which means you can just set up a custom field in Joomla articles called excerpt and use that for your teaser rather than intro text. So you might have a situation where you want, a larger intro text than you want to display here. The other thing you can do is truncate the content automatically. So I might just say 100. And you'll see that my content has now been truncated and had a nice little ellipsis put on the end. I'll take that off because I don't really need it here. Obviously, because the client's very good at doing read mores. And we'll put the image in. So one thing I've kind of been doing a bit with Yoo Themes sites is that because I'm using it so much and not really using the traditional blog layout, is that we're just going with the intro image rather than an intro image and a full image, because Yoo Theme Pro automatically resizes about 6 different versions depending on your responsive settings. So it's easier for the client to just have one image to put in. You can also map the image alt tag to the intro image alt. I would also mention it's usually quicker than this. For some reason, when I was working on this demo site this afternoon, it started slowing down and I don't know why. So my apologies. So now you'll see we have the same layout, except with our Joomla article images, content and titles. Important one to add on is the link though, which obviously links through to the full article. So if you scroll down, you'll find there's a link option. And depending on the builder settings, so with Yoo Theme Pro, you can specify that the image is linked, the title is linked. You can specify a separate read more button to appear. In this case, it looks like the image and the title. Oh no, the entire panel has been linked. Okay, so that's easy. Why not? Okay, so if I go back to my grid, so I have articles down here at the bottom, which is the dynamic stuff. I can just move that to the top. The really bizarre part about this speed is it's saying it's waiting for Google Analytics, which isn't even loading on the site. So I'm confused anyway. So that's now sitting at the top. And it's just a matter of going through and deleting the dummy content. Now, I mentioned earlier about the number of items set display and the menu item. So the default on this website is 5. So even though I set the element to display 6, there's only 5 displaying. There's a separate menu item over here, which is set to display at 6. Oops, hang on. Apologies. Yeah. Oops. So this one has had 6 menu items set. So you'll see that the 6th one is displaying. So that's kind of the basics of how you map the page builder layout to the Joomla article fields. As I said, this is hierarchical over here. So if I wanted to change this back, I just have to assign the category to it. And then move it above the other one. Now I have my original news layout back, just as another builder layout, which I could easily apply to more than one category. So I might just have a quick look at this layout because it's done slightly differently, given that it's not a grid, just separate panels, as you can kind of see. Go to the builder. So you see, once you've mapped some dynamic content, you'll see it has a little sort of database icon down here at the bottom right to let you know that it's been mapped. So this isn't using a grid, it's using separate panels. So you can build quite complex layouts. You can also combine elements together if you take the time to do the settings. So you'll see everything here is being mapped to the article title, the date published, content, etc. The important point or part of a panel setting is you'll see that on the first one, it's set to start at number 1 and only display 1. So if I then go to the second one, go to its advanced section, you'll see that it's set to start at number 2. So it will display the second most recent article in the category. Again, only set to display 1. Go back, likewise, the third one is set to start at 3. So a little bit of work to set up the 5 panels, but then the pagination kicks in and it just works from page to page from there.
Nathan, have you set one up with filtering before yet?
As in tag filtering or?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I haven't had a requirement to.
Okay.
But I'd imagine it would work fairly seamlessly.
I'm just curious to know, the reason I asked is more to do with if you had and how it works with the pagination, or if it does work with the pagination, because that's something that I'd like to know.
I couldn't think it wouldn't. So the filtering really is just about the content it's delivering. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't tried it, but, yeah, I'd be surprised if it didn't work. I mean, the other thing that's really cool to me about all of this is, if I go back to my little grid demo, make it number 1, is that particularly with a grid, I've literally only added 1 item here. So if client came along and said, hey, we need to add something special, I don't want to put it up as an article, I just want to put an extra grid thing there, you can just go in and add a basic static one. Oops. So you can mix and match dynamic content from different categories. So you can create a page where you have, you know, articles from more than one category. You can mix it with static content. Yeah, there's quite a lot you can do with the dynamic mapping, which I'll kind of go on to next with the add-on I was going to have a look at.
Nathan, can I just add there with that for everyone? With this particular grid layout, if you wanted to start that at the second layout, you could have that grid layout and start the articles at the second one, and then you could create another element or item within the layout builder to load the first article, which would represent the latest article, and make a hero piece of that one as well, which is actually quite a nice dynamic, engaging approach to do layouts.
I was actually going to do this twice to reinforce it until I've realised how slow things are loading. But the second one I was going to do was basically, we'll show the layout. Yeah, this one. So it's still using two grids here. but basically you can, as you say, you can set it so that, this one, so I want 2 in here. Oh, let's risk it. We've got nothing else to do. 2 articles. So as you say, we've got these 2 in the larger picture, or more of a hero thing. As you say, that could be, a whole hero picture at the top that just displays the one article. And then if we go to the second one, so we set the starting point here to 3. Don't worry about the alt tag, just for the sake of brevity. Yeah, so now it does the first 2 articles in this layout and then switches to this layout from here on. So that's kind of what you were talking about, Matthew?
Sorry, yes, it was, Nathan. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and you can, as you said, you could have a big hero image up here at the top instead as your first article, and then go into 2, and then go into 4 if you wanted. It's kind of, yeah, the options are plentiful. Yes, it could, Russell, indeed. Yeah, so that was kind of all I had to show on the blog layout builder side of things. Did anyone have any questions about that before I go on to the next bit? No? All right, good. Yeah, so the second part is this add-on that I've started using recently, which basically because it suits my development method, which is I like to have a dev site and a live site, and I do all my development work on the development site and then move it over to the live site. But this makes it really easy. So it's a add-on from a mod called Zoolanders, Essentials for Yoo Theme Pro. It does a bunch of things. It has a form builder, which I don't use because I use RS Form Pro.
So we just lost your screen share, Nathan.
Oh, really? Back? Sorry. I must have accidentally clicked on the stop share. It adds more dynamic content sources. So as well as Joomla articles, you can query anything in the database. You can also use a Google Sheet, CSV file, connect you to Instagram, etc., all the ones you can see here. Another thing it has, which was always a bit of a bugbear for me, was no access levels in Yoo Theme Pro when it came to builder elements or the section or rows. So this basically lets you restrict a section or a row by access level, so to a particular group, registered or super users or whatever you might have set up. It also adds a whole bunch of third-party icons. So Yoo Theme Pro includes a little icon library of its own. This adds all of these to it as well. And the bit I love most is the multiple cross-site layouts and elements that lets you create your own layout library and basically manage it on Amazon. I'm just going to have a bit of a look at that. Okay, so you'll see once you've installed it, you have an essentials option down here. Go into that. So first, let's have a look at sources. This is the dynamic content sources we were talking about. So you can specify a CSV file, load that up onto the server, and it will basically pull the fields in and you can map those to a builder element. Database is potentially very powerful. Let's just do a quick test here. So by default, it will connect to the Joomla database, but you can also connect to external databases. So if you're running up some other kind of system you need to integrate with, you can pull in data from that. You then specify which table. I'll go to EV events. It will pull in all of the fields that are in that table. The primary key. This is probably beyond my database skills, but there'll be people watching who have them. You can then set up relations, one-to-one, one-to-many, with related tables to pull in pretty complex kind of data. As I mentioned, that's probably beyond my skill set at the minute. I'll just do that basic save there. So if I was to now go to, let's just go to the template. Look there. Sorry, I wanted. Okay, made a liar of me. What have I done wrong? Oh, yeah, so I'd have to choose the source first. So I've created an events DB record and events DB records. So I've only barely started playing with this, but as I say, the sort of possibilities with it are quite awesome, really. You could really query a database, pull in all sorts of sort of, dynamic custom data that's relevant to the user who's logged in, and then have that displaying in builder elements. So I will go back and demonstrate the Amazon part. So basically you have to set up a storage. You see I've got one set up here, MHV Yoo Theme. So you need a Amazon S3 bucket. I've got one set up, which I've called Snaffle Yoo Theme. I'm setting up ones for different clients. Still not quite sure how I'm going to use this. I may just have a central repository. But at the moment, this is working for me. So you see I've got an MHV one. I'll go back to here. So you give the storage a name. You enter your account details for your S3 account. Put in your bucket, region, and then the folder that you want to connect to. And so that basically establishes a connection between Yoo Theme Pro and your Amazon account. So now that I have that storage, I can create a layout library based on that storage. So I'm going to go into library, layouts. Pick my storage that I've set up. So now I'm going to go back to my templates, into my builder. So I've decided that I'm happy with this new layout. I'm going to save this to my private layout so I can save in library. So I'm going to do that. So you see under layouts, I now have a second option, MHV layouts. Save it there. And now if I was to go back to the builder and go to the library, in addition to the pro layouts and my layouts, you'll see I've got MHV layouts. Now I should point out that you can share layouts between Yoo Themes sites just by downloading them or downloading a particular one. You can download them over here and upload them. If you're doing it a lot though, it just gets a little bit fiddly, I guess. So if I go to MHV layouts, you'll see that I've got MHV news demo over here, which I could then select and replace the current layout. But just to show you how that kind of works, I've set it up on another site, a non-related site, a Joomla 3 site even. So I now go to Builder and go to Library. I can go to MHV layouts and I can see the MHV news demo that I've just saved to my Amazon storage, which I could then select and select and then reconnect to the current website that I'm working on. Okay, so those are the main reasons I use it. The icons thing is kind of cute as well. Just go to element. Just going to add a panel element. So you see there's the icon field down here. As I mentioned, it includes all the default Yoo Theme ones. But this adds a collections tab, which gives you, I'll show you the ones you have at the moment. For example, Font Awesome 6, already loaded. Go to brands, search on Joomla, go boom.
Nathan, is that other icon, the Font Awesome, being loaded up through the Zoolander?
Correct, yeah. So it's the free accounts. If you have a paid account, you install that. It'll pick up the extras. But so it basically gives you regular, solid, and brands, I think, which are the free ones. So yeah, that's where it's literally coming from. I will show you that. I didn't mean to close the whole thing, did I? No. It's getting slower. So under icon collections, so I've just set up a couple. You can go add collection. These are all the ones that are available. I've not heard of most of them, but perhaps some of you have. So you literally just click on it and it then adds it as an available icon collection. So yeah, now I've got Bootstrap as well. Sure what that one was. Yeah, but as I mentioned, the other thing about this element that I really love is being able to even just go into a section, go to advanced, and go to access conditions. Add a condition so you can control the display of a section, row, or element based on any of these conditions, including, of course, just the basic user access of particular groups. So registered users only. And then away you go. Which is probably one thing that I thought was sadly missing or sorely missing from Yoo Theme Pro. It's the fact that it doesn't really natively integrate with Joomla's ACL system. Yeah, it also comes with some elements, which I've not really used. Well, there's the whole form builder thing, which I've really not looked into. As I said, I use RS Form Pro. There's a chart element, which uses chart.js, which I'm kind of interested in having a look at, but haven't done as yet, and Markdown, a more extended social sharing element. I might also just here mention that when you do have the licensed pro version of Yoo Theme Pro, these days it comes with a whole bunch of element presets, a lot of which are really quite good, particularly when you get down to galleries and images and all those kind of things. Makes it a lot quicker to build a professional looking page when you can just dump an element in and not have to code it from scratch, including slideshows, etc. And the dynamic content thing to me is potentially really powerful. Like you could set up a slideshow on your homepage and basically make that pull its images from an articles category. So all your client has to do to update their slideshow is upload a new article and add a new image, and then that automatically appears. I've even been using it to add content to footers in templates and that kind of thing. So a client might have a tagline or something that appears in the footer. You know, then they come to me and say, "Oh, we need to edit the tagline." It's okay. Well, you can do that. Just go to articles, filter on footer articles, and you'll see it there. And yep, that's about all I've got. Just pop it back to where it should be. Eventually, there we go.
Nathan, could you walk through all the different standard features that Yoo Theme comes with? Like touch on the layout, the styling, and everything through?
Oh, sheesh. Didn't prepare for that, Matthew. Yeah, that's.
Do you want me to?
Feel free. I need a drink, mate. You can go.
Um,
I'll stop sharing.
No, keep going for them. Just have it there anyway. But Yoo Theme comes with obviously those main settings, except for the essentials there. If you're doing a standard brochure website that you don't need to rely on dynamic content, then you would generally not navigate towards using the templates section that Nathan's been focusing on, and you'd have articles already set up, and therefore that you would be going straight to the builder. So the template file that Nathan's been working within ultimately relies on the creation of pages that would be originally built using the builder section. And those builder sections are then, it's grabbing that information and loading it into a template file template section that you've created, and then assigning that layout to that template file section. So it's important that you understand those parts. If you go back one step, Nathan, up the top with layout, if we start up the top with layout, these are the basic fundamentals sections for your layout, where you add your logos, your inverted logo if you go for a dark mode, your mobile sections, and the layout that you would approach. If you wanted the menu nav bar to be transparent, this is the section where you would do that as well, so that your layout will, whatever you've got down below, just below the menu, will come through. If it's a nice hero shot, will come through that menu item. You'll have a nice clear, just like that. So your ability to create that sort of element and push that content underneath the layout of the nav bar is also really good.
I'll earlier for you, Matthew.
So layouts there, menu items. If you click on the layout, back to layout and site. No, sorry, header. It was header. So header is an area where you click on that horizontal right, just clicking on that, you've got multiple options for different menu layouts for the navigation bar, logo, search functionality, of how you would like that to your site to look. So that will, and these things are set down. So if you want this particular layout with the menu structure like this for X amount of pages, that's where you would do it. Whereas if you wanted to create a menu structure for a different menu structure for another, you've got one part A of your website and part B, you would then possibly look at creating another menu, a template file, duplicating the Yoo Theme template in Joomla, renaming it and assigning that to your other pages.
Yeah.
One thing I'm interested in, I'll ask you, Nathan, about a bit later, was the toolbar and having that stick to the navigational bar for sticky nav.
Yeah, that's
but you can see here sticky nav under header, which is right there. You've got sticky on scroll up. You've got a number of options just where nav bar is, just above, up a bit, Nathan.
Yep.
You've got options of static, sticky, or sticky on scroll.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a number of options. They've thought about a lot of the fundamentals of Yoo Theme.
This probably is a great example, Matthew, because I've actually butchered the header and it's got DJ Mega Menu running across the whole thing. Anyway.
Yes, so DJ Mega Menu, it doesn't do mega menus yet, but that is something that looks really good when it's in use, and kudos for you with that, Nathan. I really like it. So if we go back a step, you then have a number of different areas. The footer section, if you go to the footer in particular and click on that, this is, again, you're in that builder environment where you create your footer and you design the layout, what's included, what's loaded, and everything. So if we, for instance, we want to go down here, we've got that content there. This is a great example, Nathan, of this content. So, for instance, you've got Mental Health Victoria acknowledges the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, that text. So within settings, for instance, if we go to that text, select that text in particular, and then go to settings, because every element has its own settings that you can control the parameters of what you're using. So if we scroll down further, all the way down to the very bottom, we've got visibility, the very last selection. This is a really nice tool. So for instance, if we now select, so for instance, we want to select, we select visible medium, that option there, we select that right now. You're not going to see any changes right now. It's still there when it loads. But if we select, for instance, the iPhone or phone module, which is that bottom left thing, you'll notice that that text is no longer there. So you can turn things on and off and when they load. If you want specific parameters for things, like for instance now, like if you want to undo that, Nathan, you might want to undo that.
It's the depth side, Matthew.
Yeah. So if we go back one step and we'll select the contact information there on that footer, which I think might be part of your grid. No, it's that one. So if we select that one in particular and go to settings, this is another nice feature. So when we're on...
It's actually a module position, but yeah.
Yeah, so if we scroll all the way down, so for instance, if we now, it's currently left aligned, okay? And that's fine on a desktop or a laptop version. But if we go to left align, we select left aligned currently. So we do that now for none, go to left, yep. But then there's a breakpoint. So rather than always, we can go select that always and go medium tablet and now make the alignment to fall back to centered. On none, yep, click on none. And go
I'm just watching the status bar. Mate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. And then what you're going to see is that information is now going to center, which is really a lot nicer on a mobile phone. So you can control a lot of those different elements. So one thing also to bear in mind when it comes to this, because we can turn elements, we can turn modules off within this builder framework, regardless of whether or not we've built a layout that's assigned to a template or is a single article. Say we have a slideshow that really works really nicely on a desktop environment, but when you come down to an iPad or an iPhone size scale, it may not load nicely. So you'll want to actually create another element specifically designed for a tablet or a phone that loads of text at different sizes, loads the same images, but it centralizes the images. And you can have one turn on, one's on for desktop and laptops and one's on for tablets and phones, and they're grabbing the same content from dynamic content. So you can have static information and have the end user, which is beautiful with this system, is that you can grab information from a standard Joomla article. So realistically, you could set something up for a client and they don't have to even go near the builder if they don't need to. They can just load things up. Or
that's what I was saying earlier, that these parts I've started doing is actually Joomla articles. So if the client wants to edit this, they don't have to come in here. They can just go to Joomla articles, go to footer content as the category, and then edit the article.
So there's great power tools. If you go back to the desktop version as view, Nathan, and we can hop out of there as well and go to the outside of layout and go to style. Your ability to change now everything to do with this website from this location when it comes to the aesthetics, font sizes, everything is extremely powerful. So there's no need for you anymore to actually write CSS code if you don't want to.
Oh,
Having said that,
don't know about that, Matthew.
No. Well, I agree with you because I still do, but because sometimes you want to do your customs thing.
Yeah.
But if someone doesn't want to have anything except for the basic layout, if we scroll all the way up or just go back out one step and we select that preview all UI components, this is what I love. You can stay within this element and you can, this is all the styling for the website template. You can then roll your cursor over and you see the tooltip. It's telling you where to go to change that styling.
So if I want to change the alert, I can go over here to alert.
And it shows you then just the alerts. And now you know, okay, this is the primary one. I need to change the primary one. So it's changing that element. Now the text. So the beauty of that is you've got great power for what you need to. Now, if you wanted to do custom code, CSS code or JavaScript, you would hop out of this section and go to the settings up another level.
There's a few different ways of doing that.
There's two major options that you can do with this. By going to settings, you can go to then advanced.
Isn't it custom code?
Oh, sorry, custom code, yep. And you've got your scripts where you can put your JavaScripts in, or CSS. You want CSS to really customize things in great detail. You can put further customization in there. If you want to just affect a particular element on a particular page, then each element also comes with under the advanced tab that Nathan was in, where you're doing dynamic content sometimes. You can also touch on CSS and scroll down and put CSS that will control that particular element every time. And if that's assigned to a template, it will affect everything within that template. So there's really great power with this builder as such.
Might just add a third option there, which is kind of how I do it every time, which is basically, So that's the style that the website's based on, or the Yoo Themes style. I go to settings and advanced. You'll see I have a child theme set.
Yep.
So you can oh, that's helpful.
So you're looking for where you've done some further overrides or
look, I'm a bit silly about it, Matthew, frankly.
Pardon?
I'm a bit silly about it in that I come from kind of, the coding sort of space and was very anti-page builder. Yep. So I've never been a fan of dumping CSS into those panels that you just showed, because it's really hard to keep track of them.
Because the windows are quite small.
Yeah, clients can
totally get you.
wander in there.
Yeah.
So, I have my own little thing set up where I have a less thing set up where I have custom less files that I, do each one for different sections. So if I've got particular things that need doing, I'll dump it in there.
Yeah.
So that all becomes a sort of entire kind of child thing, if you like, which is very much a WordPress concept.
And it's very important that you point out there, though, you've created a child theme, and that is where you would be adding possible extensions and also custom things, particularly like maybe a template override, for instance, wouldn't go in there.
No, no, they don't work particularly well in child themes. It's a pain in the butt.
Well, if you're doing custom code of CSS, or you're adding particular new elements third-party elements into your template, you would create a child theme so that when Yoo Theme does update, it doesn't override and you lose those elements. And that's the one key thing with creating child themes. I think they're quite handy to have and always work within a child theme. Now, a child theme is basically you selecting your style that you want from the selection of template styles that you might have as your starting point, and you might and then you can then do your customization, but you're naming that child theme.
Yeah.
And that means that you're always retaining that information. And it's quite handy for moving forward without losing information.
Sure. A lot of the sites I do, are using bespoke design and stuff as well. So it's just easier to kind of set it up as a project, as a child theme to kind of manage it. So, this one over here is a Yoo Theme site. Doesn't particularly look like a Yoo Theme site, but
it's lovely.
Yeah, but it's got, this is an example of the latest news stuff, module on the home page, clicks through to the thing, and you've got the same kind of layout there. But, that's all using grid CSS and stuff. So it's all, a bit complex, but it can be done.
Yeah. I think you're only limited by your imagination.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's great benefits of what you've got in here. Its integration within Google is good. I think there's a lot to be done, though, with, I think, Google Analytics 4 yet. It's a little bit backwards in their approach to loading that up, but I don't know enough about Google Analytics 4 or Google Analytics in general.
I use a plugin called GTM Pro or Google Tag Manager Pro. Pretty much these days I don't set up analytics just on its own. I'll do a tag manager container and then add analytics to that. So that way you bypass all of the built-in analytics and the plugins.
Nathan, can you go to a single page, for instance, and then go to Builder again to go to, so we've got elements all up, just any page. Excuse me.
Can you go over the workflow? Like, do you create your articles first and then a template and then customize it with Builder, or
if I was
Builder creating a template? Or no?
So if I'm building a site from scratch and doing the design, I will probably publish as minimum amount of dummy articles that I need to do to build the layout. So if I need 6 articles, then I'll find 6 stock images, grab some lorem ipsum, bang them into articles, because you need something to work with to be able to do the layout like it.
So with that, one thing with the plan, when you've got the plan with Yoo Theme, they have automatically linked it in with Unsplash, that image library, online image library. So you can actually search for images through Unsplash and then put an image in. Lorem ipsum does load in. If you say, for instance, we do a text element, it'll automatically put some lorem ipsum into that element until you replace it.
It won't do that in Joomla articles, though. Okay.
Not within the Joomla article core, no, not at all.
No, the question was around how we build it. So,
Ellen, it depends on. Personally, I think it depends on how you work and how you want.
Well, would you create articles and menu items?
I think if you're doing a dynamic layout, then you create some articles first because you need something to map it to.
Yes, but again, the first questions I think, Nathan, that need to be asked is how does one want to work at the moment? So you might approach one website differently to another based on what its needs are, but also as a website builder, Ellen might work a certain way and be comfortable working that way, and then it's a case of, okay, let's work that way until you're comfortable and familiar with how you would do something. So how would you work normally, Ellen?
Well, being that I'm looking to convert, certain sites already, so I'm working from articles already built.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd be using the dynamic content.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're already there. They're already there to work with. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would mean that exactly what Nathan has said to you previously, is exactly how you need to go. You be building the layout. The content's already there. So you're accessing not dissimilar to, you'd be creating your layouts and inserting that existing content exactly how Nathan showed you earlier on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. What about modules and things? I mean, I know you can add a module directly to a page with the builder. So what about modules you would normally put in Joomla and assign to pages? What happens to those?
You're still approaching the same way you were doing them. The difference would be that you create your article, you would do your module, you assign your where they would be assigned to, what pages or what menu items or however you're managing your modules. And then within the builder itself, then you would load that module in to a position.
So this is a builder page that is largely made up of modules, Alan, although it's missing some images because it's the development site. So you'll see here that there's two modules that have been loaded. One is for event bookings. So it's an events component. So it shows upcoming courses. So you're basically using the same settings from the module that you would normally. You're just loading it through the builder. Likewise here, this is a eShop module for latest products. Sorry, that one? Yeah, that one. So it just has the list of all the modules that you have in Joomla, and you can select them and load them in a particular position. And then it's just a matter of all the options that you have in the module. You can still use them as normal. You can still style them customly. Yeah.
So do you load a module position or do you load a specific module?
I seem to be loading a specific module more than module positions, but it depends on the use case, I would think.
Okay.
My experience so far is that I'm not assigning any module to a particular position within Joomla.
Yeah.
I'm creating a module. Its assignment is to basically generally set at none. And then within the builder itself, I would then grab that module.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Place it into that particular page.
Okay.
So if you've got a great example would be if I've got a product catalog that I need that module to load on that particular brand. There's multiple brands on a website, and there's a module, a catalog that is being built within the builder framework. Again, that you can build a module with the builder. There are some restrictions with that, though, aren't there, Nathan?
Sorry,
with the module builder, the builder module it works the same way, but it's how they load and where they load.
The actual builder module, yeah. The builder modules can only load top
and
bottom and side. So it can load in sidebar as well.
Is it sidebar now too? Okay,
yeah.
Good. That's nice to know. So, but again, like if you've got a module, if you've got a catalog module that you want to load on one particular brand, you assign it to that brand and it will load up on that only, even though you've assigned it to no position. Because the builder's actually taking over that layout control.
But yeah, I've used those builder modules a bit to kind of jazz up non-builder pages, if you like. Or, components which aren't native to the builder. So you can add stuff above and below to the side. Yeah.
It's really important to point out that this builder works very well. I think Russell can attest to this one, that it works very well with Virtumart. There's a component that you can buy that enables it to work really well. You're still using Virtumart, how you were building your product line within the Virtumart component itself, but then getting it to load dynamically within the layouts, and in particular using the template layouts works exceptionally well. Russell and I worked on that together, and I think Russell did a fantastic job with bringing that e-commerce into that particular site. J2 Store. Would you say J2 Store works well?
Well, I don't use either of them. I use eShop. So what I would say is that you don't need to exclude components that don't have builder elements. You can still use any third-party components. That's where you might need to do a little bit of CSS work. But for example, all the Joom donation components have a UI Kit 3 setting for their layout, which basically means they adopt all of the classes that Yoo Theme uses. It's the UI Kit framework. So all of the ones that I've done that on, I mean, it's just a basic store that is using the UI Kit layout. I didn't have to do any particular style overrides to make it work. And it still works and functions like a store would. But yeah, I mean, some of the specialist integrations for Virtumart do look very good. Yes.
Yeah.
There's also a new thing called Commerce Lab, which used to be called Trhough Store.
Oh, they changed it to that.
Yeah, it's now called Commerce Lab, which is a fully native attempt at a Yoo Theme Pro shopping cart. It wasn't ready for prime time last time Russell looked at it, but it looks like it's kind of getting there. Isn't it? Anyway, I might stop sharing because I haven't got anything else to share. Is that enough, Matthew?
I think we've covered some of the basic. There is one nice thing within the builder itself with elements and seeing they've got built-in links to video tutorials or documentation for the elements.
Yeah.
So you can get assistance on that. You can put something in there, for instance, and then load that up, and then you should be able to click on that particular element.
I'm learning something here. So if I click on the element,
yeah, there should be, and I might be in the wrong area, but they're because I rarely use it, so I know that they've got it built in so that you can actually go and get help with information relating to particular things. It should be a question mark or a video, so I might be in the wrong section.
Right.
Documentation's really good.
Documentation is great.
Their support's not too bad, I've found. They are very active on Discord. They have a number of channels on Discord where the community seems to be huge. And the developers are also on that as well.
Marcia just made a good point, is that you can also load Bootstrap if you need to.
Click on the question mark in Builder. Russell's just made a comment that, yeah. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Russell.
Thanks, Russell.
So you see that, you can see that there's documentation to read all the videos, and you can load the Yoo Theme YouTube channel.
You first need to create it.
It's across the board. I don't know about you, Nathan, or anyone else that's used Yoo Theme. I recently came across an issue where the loading an RS form into an element wasn't working very well. There was a bit of a conflict somewhere that was happening, and I ultimately ended up creating a menu item directly linking to a menu item that loaded the form rather than putting it in an element. It just didn't. And that was happening on a form that I was using a payment Stripe gateway to purchase.
So how were you adding the form?
Originally
using a native
originally
element.
I tried a number of approaches. One approach was the RS form element that third-party element I installed, which works well for standard forms.
Don't have it on here, but yep, know the one. Yep.
That was one way. The other way was doing the syntax and loading it in a text element, which again loads things really well. But for this, I think the fact that I had the payment gateway, or it was a little purchase an item form, for some reason it just it wasn't behaving. It would do a number of different things that I couldn't get.
Might be something to do with Russell's comment there, which is true. Need to turn off the JS and CSS for the template.
Quite possibly, and it wouldn't surprise me. And again, this is where I'm not a developer. I'm just using the tools that I have learned over the years. But the approach I took was I created a menu item that linked directly to the RS form, and then I added that menu item link within the page where I wanted people to click on to go to the form.
I can't say I've had any issues with RS form, other than the latest.
I've not either. This was a first for me. Okay. So I know Patrick and I have worked on one site where it was Patrick was using J2 Store, and I think there was a lot of customization there with that, but
more of
win you over, Patrick.
More of the customization there was the client requirement for some rather convoluted size selectors.
Oh, that's right, that thing. Yes.
But a cool feature that I don't think you touched on yet that relates to the site that Matt's talking about. We had to add in reviews. And so Nathan pointed out DJ reviews, which seems to have done the job at the moment. But initially, I didn't know where to fire the plugin, because you can't there's not a short code to drop into the content. And it turned out that the one of the dynamic fields lets you load the content that fires when the plugin normally fires. So quite often plugins, if they're just regular system plugins, will fire on before content or on after content. So the advantage there is that in the page, instead of just being stuck with the reviews right at the bottom of the page, the dynamic field let us put it in the spot that we wanted to have the reviews appear, which is right down the bottom. Events after display title, events after display, and before display content. So using those three triggers there, it lets you.
Do you map that to a plugin? Is that right?
Well, they're reworded versions of what the plugin code gets triggered on. So there's a function that's display after title on after display content, on before display content, and when those functions fire, it just sticks that content in that spot as the page renders. So the way the Yoo Themes done that is that with dynamic content, it lets them be called wherever you want it to be called in the system or in the layout. So yeah.
Nice.
One area that you might want to quickly show, Nathan, is the animation that you can assign. I find one area that it shows up in. If you went to your newsletter sign up section of the page and then go to that section and go to edit section, and if we go settings, scroll down to the very bottom and go animation, and we might say let's slide 100% from the right, for instance, to show this one off. And then do a delay, animation delay, let's say 200, just do what they recommend, 200. And hit enter.
It's not my typing, mate.
It's all right. Eventually it will load.
I don't know why it's so slow.
If we,
wasn't really.
And just hit save and scroll back up to the top. I think it won't show up because it's already got that part section loading. So if we go back up to the top and load that particular page again,
there you go.
You could see how that quickly scrolled in. But if we did that and we did multiple different animations further down, those animations obviously occur nicely that you see on other websites where they'll load up as you go down the page, which brings a nice interaction with the end user. I personally think later on, and I think it's something nice to look at. I can show you an example of a page where it does.
So it's a bit of a matter of personal opinion, Matthew, I would have thought. This particular layout, these are actually meant to slide left and right as you scroll down, but the client found disconcerting and off-putting, so had me disable it.
Yeah, it might be a case of you may have had it too heavy.
The one out of the box, mate. So I just went with the template.
Yeah, out of the way.
You're either into flaming logos or you're not. But yeah, the animation features are quite good.
And they're simple, like that affects the whole section, whereas you can actually assign to elements themselves their own. They can either inherit the animation from the section, or you can then tell it, it can assign their own animation as well to that particular element on a page.
Yeah, I've still got it happening here for you.
And then you've got that parallax effect, which works well nice too.
If you're editing from the front end and you click on an article, if it's dynamic, are you editing it in the Joomla article format? And if it's static, is it in the Yoo theme? How does that work?
If you're editing a Joomla article that is not a page builder page, it will open in the standard Joomla editor. So if I go to articles, if I go to content and I go new, so out of the box, I've got a default Joomla article. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Save it. And you'll see now I've got a Yoo theme builder button down here. Now, as soon as I click on that, that turns it into a builder page, which means it can only be edited in the page builder. So if it's so as you see, it's come up with, kind of page builder kind of thing. I need to select something from the library to add it in. So until you do that and save, it's still a Joomla article. So if you've got a dynamic section set up with a template and it's pulling in Joomla articles, if you're on the front end and you go to edit that article, it'll load the standard Joomla editor, not the page builder.
Okay.
Again, it ultimately depends on how you want to set things up. If you like Alan, you've mentioned you've got existing pages, websites that you are considering Yoo theme, and you you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel, you just want to affect the layout, then that content that you've got there, you'll treat that as dynamic content and load, that'll all populate a dynamic template file. So with that, when an administrator that you give access to logs in from the front end, they'll be presented with however that front end editing looks. Now, if it's the Joomla article with the content in the content page, you've got your intro images, you've got all the relevant information, that will then load as a Joomla article will for that template that you've got. And you can put the content in and hit save. If it's a static page that's utilizing the Yoo Theme builder, you'll be then presented with a pink button that says Yoo Theme builder, that you will then click on that and go to that page, and you can then do your edits. I can show one. If Nathan doesn't have one, I can show you one. But so that's using the builder.
And see how it's got it back to the default editor? You can switch back actually, Brit, but it will butcher your page builder layout. It'll pull in the heading and the content and stuff, but you'll lose your layout completely. I saw a client do it just the other week, and I went, thank goodness for versions and the fact that I had them on.
I've never clicked that button. I didn't know what it did.
Sorry?
I've never clicked that button. I never thought it's like one of those buttons you never click. Why would you?
Back to editor.
Don't.
I haven't either. But if you click on Yoo Theme builder just so they can see, okay, this is what happens. Yeah. It loads up and it builds it so that you can then edit that content.
There was one thing in the page builder that I found only recently that it was one of those mind-blowing moments. The text editor, the native text editor in the page builder, when you create a text box or a title or something, I think it's tiny MCE. But and you can't do images, but if you click that, it clicks over to JCE, so you've then got access to.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that, so I used to sit there swearing, going, "Why the fuck don't?" And then one day I clicked it, and it was like, "Oh."
You get the best of both worlds.
It's like, why didn't they just make it red so I could see it? You
know. So once you go that, you make your text changes in that, and then you would hit save, and then close. It would take you back to the article, and you'd hit save. So I've built a site for my work, for instance, where it is purely a news site for our employees. And I've set it up so that I'm not really doing anything except keeping the back end up to date. And we've got a writer that now logs in, presented with the create a new article, hits create new article, which creates a Joomla article, and he puts the heading in, publishing date, the content, the imagery. We've got custom fields assigned to it so that he can have, slideshows, videos added to the article and everything. And then when he saves that, it will then load that page. He'll be able to go to that page and see all that content he's put in different positions on the page. So they don't have to go to a builder at all. It's like, I like to treat it so that they are doing exactly the basics of what they need to do to accomplish a great look. So for us,
I don't think clients need to be accessing the builder that much frequently, frankly.
No. I'm in agreement, but again, it depends
on the client. Depends on the client and their level.
Client and the site, what the requirements are of the site. So some people are presented with what's on screen right now and they love it. They think, gee, look how easy that was to change things.
Yeah, and when you come into the builder via the article, you don't get access to anything else.
Correct,
You just got the builder and a close button. So if I close now, it's just going to take me back to the article editor.
Yeah, and the beauty of that depending on the administration rights, it also means that when they can't get to Yoo Theme, the Yoo Theme itself, they can't alter the styling of that template file that you're using. So if you've got a brand guidelines and it's meant to be, you've got red, green and blue, but they want the blue to become pink. They've got no way of changing that unless they do specific custom CSS on every single page where they want to make the change on every single page. They certainly won't do it for long. So it helps control things a little bit more, and it's good in that regard. I'd be curious to know what that Zoolander section element does with that sort of thing, Nathan. With control. That element within that Zoolander give you.
Which element?
If you go to the Ascent, I'm not sure if you go to their website. Have you got that up still?
Yep.
Further down. That one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know the functionality of that and what that can do to help. I don't understand how it will, whether or not that can actually give you further control over what an end user administrator can do, for instance.
I think it's more about viewing rather than adminning. I think it's about being able to set access levels on sections and rows and elements.
Okay.
Rather than controlling what people can access on the admin side. But
so they might be locked out of the latest news section that you've got there.
Sorry?
So where you've got that section on the left, latest news, even though it be visible to them, they may not be able to edit that section.
No, I think it's more about whether it's viewable rather than editable.
Okay.
Can you talk about the relationship between the menus and the pages?
Sorry, hang on, just Matthew, you probably actually could, depending on the access or the permissions of the access level that you're assigning it to.
Yeah.
So it probably would work, I think.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, what was that last one?
The relationship between the menu and the templates or the pages that you're building?
This menu here?
Any menu. I mean, do you have to go to a certain page before you start picking a template to apply to it? Or I don't really understand the relationship.
So as far as the templates go that I was demonstrating earlier, so there's two parts to the template. There's, hang on.
Are you talking about the overall look, Alan?
Yeah, no, hang on, Matthew. Can I finish, please? So with the templates that I was showing earlier, if I go to the news page over here, okay, it's going to have this template assigned to it. So this is what you're wondering, Alan, how do you assign menu items to templates?
Well, go back a little bit in the, before you even get to that point. Do you have to go to a certain page or a type of page before you can start choosing?
You need to be on the page that you want to modify. So because I'm on the news page, it tells me by the little dot over here that this template is assigned to that page. Now, if I just click on the text itself, this is where I get to choose which categories the template applies to. So if I want it to apply to other categories, it's not related to the menu item as such. It's related to the Joomla category. Does that kind of make sense? So I'm not assigning it to the latest news menu item here. I'm assigning it to the latest news category. So if I want to assign it to another category, I would, projects, for example, I could control click on that, command click and select that one as well. So that way, this template would apply to both of those Joomla article categories.
When you do you need to have a structure in place first before you apply a Yoo Theme template to it, or do you create your Yoo Theme template, this kind of template, first, and then build the structure around that?
Well, no. So when I did the demo, I started with a basic category blog menu item. So if I take this template off the category, so now I'm unassigning the template, and I'm going to go back to bog standard Joomla category blog layout.
Okay.
He says confidently.
Yeah, when it reloads.
Yeah, so my starting point with the demo was to have a basic category blog layout like you might have.
Yep.
Except now the bloody thing's applied here as well.
I'll go back over the video when Patrick's uploaded it.
No, you're right. So here we go. So this was...
Oh, yeah, standard Joomla. Yep.
Out of the box, Joomla category blog layout, relying on the settings in the menu item. So that is the menu item up here.
Yep.
So it's just stand out of the box. If I want to assign one of these templates to it, I click on it. On latest news.
Yeah, okay.
Save.
Yeah, reload. Yeah, okay.
And boom, and it's done. So
Right.
you need some content first, something to work with.
Yes.
And so now that I've assigned the template, it's picking up all of the others.
Gotcha. Okay. That looks nice, by the way.
Cheers.
Sorry, Alan, I didn't mean to tread on your toes. I just wanted to kind of
No, that helped clarify.
ease it out a bit more.
Fine. That's fine.
So yeah, I mean, one of the things with this dynamic content, like the mob who make the Essentials add-on, they helped me out just by coincidence in that they created a source for K2, would you believe, of all things. Look at Martin's mouth dropping there.
How dare you speak those words, Nathan?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of sites that have got thousands of articles with K2 in it.
Oh, wow.
So this is a K2 builder element, or a Yoo Theme Pro builder element that's pulling content from K2 items, basically.
Nice.
Not officially supported by Yoo Theme Essentials, but it's a module you can add to your template folder and follow some instructions. And then when you go into your dynamic content, K2 pops up as an option. So.
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So that's still a 3 site, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen K2 for Joomla 4 that I don't know about?
No, I just checked their forums yesterday and the screaming hasn't stopped. So,
yeah, I'm not surprised. I was actually close to migrating it all to core content. And then it was literally the week before I was redoing the site and they released it as an add-on and I went, oh, that's probably a little bit easier.
And then you can worry about this all in 12 months' time when 3 starts getting a bit long in the tooth.
Yeah. So I've got a few other issues in particular. There is actually a thing on the Zoolanders site around sources. For anyone who's super keen, I have directions on how you can create your own custom source.
Ooh.
So basically, this would be for any external component, being able to add it as a dynamic source in the source builder. beyond my skill set, but there's probably some who would be into that.
Nathan, can you go to the Yoo Theme website to their extension community page as well, so people can see that? Because they do have an active community. Besides the base elements, there are a lot of elements available to you from the base install, but they do have paid and free options also available to you that you can add to enhance your website further.
This is the Virtue Mart one over here.
Flat Studio is actually a really good one I've found to use their extensions.
Their table builder was really good. I mean, the table builder that they give you in the page builder is like a bit of a hack, really. It's not. They're not really
tiny.
Yeah, but I think they're actually just using the elements from one of their core elements and hacking the table.
There's a lot of these kind of flip book and card and timeline kind of elements and image comparisons. There are actually some pretty cool ones. Yeah, the Flat Studio stuff's good. You're right. Weird name, but anyway.
Cloud Food actually produces some nice elements as well. Like that particular one's a nice element to work with. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm hoping it's improved even more. But yeah.
Commerce Lab is the e-commerce thing I was talking about.
Have you built something with this, have you?
Hell no. No, it's literally just come out of beta, I think.
Okay.
But they literally are releasing like every couple of days at the moment. So
Pro2 Store is now Commerce Lab.
Correct. Yeah.
So did that fall apart a little bit, or they just decided to do the whole Mambo to Joomla scenario?
Well, they rebranded because they also wanted to do WordPress, I think.
Yeah.
It's not at the moment, but yeah, so they wanted something that was less associated with Joomla branding, I guess.
Yeah. Plus, there was a bit of a crossover with J2 Store, I found.
Yeah, I think there was some confusion around the naming, Pro Store and J2 Store, because some people thought it was J2 Store, but it wasn't.
So that RS4 Pro element's actually really good when you've got base. I've found with standard forms that don't have any lines or anything.
Yep. Yeah, there's quite a lot, and it's growing. This accessibility icon from DJ Extensions is pretty nice, actually. And it's a whole bunch of out-of-the-box accessibility for your site that you probably don't have.
Can you've mentioned in the Slack, Nathan, that you've fixed the toolbar to the nav bar.
Mm-hmm.
Can you show me that example, what you've produced there?
Well, it's on this side, I think. It's the when you
how much customization did that require?
This is where you need a child theme.
Yep.
So templates, you go to header. Snaffle mod to move mobile header below toolbar. So basically it's grabbing a block of code and moving it, because it's up here somewhere, outside of the header, which is sticky. So you basically just have to grab the toolbar. Oh, hang on. Sorry, that was mobile header, wrong one. That one is actually enabling the toolbar on mobile. But,
yep. I don't understand any of what you've got showing at the moment.
Well, essentially, okay. Well, this is code, just in case.
Yeah.
Hang on. I usually code. No. Okay. I usually comment it, but I didn't this time. Essentially, the toolbar here has been moved inside the header. So it's the header that's sticky. So you have to grab the block of code which draws the toolbar and stick it inside the header div.
Right, okay.
Because what I'd like to do is where...
So you'll see here I've got header, sticky, and there's the toolbar. So by default, it does not sit inside TM header. It sits above it as its own div.
So it's a matter of just putting that inside it.
Yeah. So actually, you'll see it up here because it's hidden because I wanted it above on mobile. But yeah, so normally it lives up here. And in my case, I just moved it down there.
So you just grabbed the header PHP file, put it in your child template, made the changes. Bob's your uncle.
Bang, boom. Yeah. So you can basically override the Yoo theme templates like you can anything else.
Right. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Now I see why when I do it, people are bewildered.
Hey.
So when I go and do this sort of thing to fix a problem, it'll go over most of the group's head. So we might do a more.
It still is, Patrick.
Yeah, might do some more detailed template override tutorials down the track if people are interested. So
it'd be nice. Nathan, I'd love you to document this exactly step by step for us all.
Sure. I can send you a link to the post on the Yoo theme forums, right?
Oh, it is there, is it? Oh, please send that through. Yeah, please. If it's already up there, yeah, great.
Yeah. Actually, I might. Yeah, I had to update it because they were out of date and had some things wrong. So maybe I'll do that for you. Yeah. Make a note.
So they don't do mega menus either at the moment. It is, Russell, I think, made mention that it is being developed and it's in beta at the moment. Is that right, Russell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that's right. It's at beta 5 at the moment, and if Yoo theme run true to form, it'll be in production probably within 2 weeks.
Nice.
They have been taking a while with this beta, I've noticed, Russell.
I think the menu's causing some issues.
Yeah, I suggest it probably is. But, I mean, yeah, it's like with this was the design I was given, and it had a full width menu, but also using modules inside the mega menu and stuff, which I couldn't easily do in Yoo theme. So I had to do a fair butcher of the header in terms of what's loading where, I guess.
So you had to do a fair bit of work still, even when you were using that DJ mega menu.
It's not actually that much. You basically just have to publish it to the navbar position.
The module.
Yeah, the mega menu module.
Yep.
In my case, they wanted a full width drop-down menu, which meant I had to use the ability to load a logo as part of DJ Mega Menu. So it has an option so that you can actually load the logo as part of the menu.
Oh, sorry. So for clarification, Nathan, that whole nav bar is part of the Mega Menu as well. It's not just the drop-down.
That's correct, yeah.
Wow, okay.
The whole section here is actually run through Mega Menu. So you'll see that the LI is just part of the menu.
Yep, at least,
just happens to have the logo sitting in it, that's all.
Right.
And it doesn't have a drop down, so obviously it doesn't drop down. But it's probably about an hour, I guess, to do the overrides, and you got to do a little bit of CSS to collapse one of the Yoo theme divs, I think. It sits over here on the left, but yeah, it wasn't too hard. Certainly not impossible. But yeah, it'd be really nice if they had a native mega menu out of the box that did all those things. It would be wonderful. It's probably the biggest whinge on their forums, I think.
I think the whinge has been around for 3-4 years.
Yes.
It feels like it anyway.
For sure.
because I remember it was always on the most votes all the time from day one, and they were promising it, and then all of a sudden, 12 months in to Yoo Theme, the builder, it just it dropped off. Like they removed any evidence that it was promised.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah.
Great.
I find it it's a good builder.
I wondered whether they're going to extend Zoo to be sort of more integrated with it at some point.
I think so. Well, they've been doing, I think there was actually a fairly large, I mean, I don't use Zoo, but I think
they have done so.
Yeah.
They've done that.
I thought there was a release not that long ago, Russell, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've supported Zoo content for quite some time now. It must be nearly a year.
They just had a major upgrade, didn't it?
Yeah. So it was an upgrade to integrate it with the builder better, I think.
There you go, Yoo Theme Pro apps.
Yeah. I kind of wonder whether it's not a duplication of what Yoo Theme Pro itself does a little bit, but because I mean, it was originally built as like a CCK to, replace Joomla content or compete with K2 and the like, I guess, before we had native custom fields.
Well, it's just Yoo Theme Pro business apps out of the box. If you want those apps, then, there they are.
Guess so. They also sell icons.
Yeah.
I think they're a bit dated. Last I looked.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I mean, one of their strengths, though, is the quality of their design generally, I think, compared to a lot of template clubs and builders. I think the out-of-the-box stuff is probably a step above most of them.
Yep. It's UI kit that makes the difference to this.
Yes.
Having UI kit underneath it and having that be an established JavaScript standard, that puts it on a whole different level.
If anyone's wondering about UIKit, has its own website.
I think the beauty of UIKit too as well, it's a good baseline when you want to do some customization of your own CSS, custom CSS, and you want to stay within the parameters of the Yoo Theme and the UIKit. Going to this section here and getting the code for those particular things and doing the customization actually works really well, moving in and out of the two.
Yeah, if you go to the Style tab in the Builder, you will see the exact same components, and the Builder lets you style them for a theme.
For sure. Yeah,
That's so consistent all the way up and down. That really makes a difference.
Yeah. So there's those components Russell's talking about. That's exactly what we've got here.
How about you, Nathan? It took me about 2 or 3 weeks to really get familiar. I found myself getting lost in the builder a lot of times. Like just too many bloody menus, and I'd go into customize or add some CSS, and I think I'm in the wrong fucking place and I have to go back. And then, and the worst time was when I was on a Zoom call with a client. She was asking me something, and I got stuck in one of these menu loops, and just thought I look like I have no idea what I'm doing now. Yeah.
I felt a bit like that this afternoon in that I still actually don't have that many sites running Joomla 4, but I was determined to do this presentation in Joomla 4. And I was actually struggling a bit just to navigate my way around. I was like, how do I get to bloody Yoo Theme? I was like, okay, home dashboard, keep going there. That's your easiest option.
Yeah, exactly. My experience was I sort of upgraded to Joomla 4 and did Page Builder all at the same time. So it didn't feel like Joomla at all. It was just like this new animal that I've got that's got Joomla that's underneath somewhere. So.
I can empathize with that. Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's got a learning curve on it. It took me 9 months before it was natural, before it felt natural.
It doesn't feel natural for me yet, but
no.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm just sort of getting there, really. Russell dived into it a bit earlier than me, I think. I actually was really resistant to it because a colleague of mine, Andre, had built quite a few sites with it before the dynamic content was a thing. And I'd just be like, fucking page builder, you kidding me? Jesus. What am I working with here? So I was heavily resistant, but I'd have to say I'm pretty all in on it now. I can't imagine myself building a new site with any other framework, to be honest. It would just be like, poking myself in the eye with a fork.
I converted a broken WordPress site yesterday. The site was completely cactus and I refused to rebuild it in WordPress. It took me an hour to rebuild it. It's a one page, took me an hour to rebuild it from scratch, copying and pasting the assets out of the browser and into it. And it looked exactly the same. And fantastic.
I've got about 5 websites that are currently WordPress for my employer at the moment, and I've told him that we will not be building or touching these sites. They'll be moved to Joomla and using the Yoo Theme builder. And they said, yep, sure. And I think the beauty of that was when I did the first site, and just for the employees and the ease of editing and adding content for a writer has been so smooth a transition and easy to use that they've just said, yeah, we've got to do it. Now we've got to find the time.
I actually feel like I've barely touched the surface of it, frankly. Particularly, I was even looking at the Yoo Theme Essentials thing earlier on, and I started having a look at the the advanced dynamic content workflow. I've got no idea what's going on there. To be perfectly honest with you.
Sourcing
I think it's around querying DBs and related to the user who's logged in and that kind of thing, but I'm not even sure how you would use it at the moment. But I'm sure I can find a reason to.
I look forward to the presentation.
Sure.
What is the cost of their extensions, or is it just buy a subscription and you get the whole lot, or?
It's $100.
No, it's
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
From 49 up to 199 euros.
Yeah, 49 if you just buy for the one platform.
Oh yeah, 49 for a one site for Joomla or WordPress. 49.
Yeah.
So I say like $80.
Yeah, I mean, I only demonstrated this because I came across it recently. I was like, woohoo! This makes my life easier. I can build layouts on my dev site and just bang load them onto my live site, and it's all seamless. So, but the cost of the licenses, they do all add up. It's a question of whether it saves you time in your actual build. For me, it seems like it's probably going to be a fairly significant time saver.
I agree. Totally. It's a great time saver. And just having basic knowledge of little bits of code, a good knowledge of CSS, I think that's really all you need.
Yeah.
So you're right about having UI kit. I find myself having the UI kit site open in a tab.
Yeah.
And now that I understand exactly, well, if I'm in the zone, I know exactly where to go to put the code back into the builder.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how much, if you've got your style all sorted out in the style section, you can achieve quite a lot really quickly. You almost feel like you don't want to let the client know because you don't want to, charge them by the hour.
No.
They don't need to know.
It's interesting though, with one client site that I've got, which is very large, there's a real mix of a lot of static pages still, but then there's a lot of dynamic starting to happen, because depending on what their needs are to make changes on the site will determine whether or not I say, well, I know it's going to cost, I'm going to be charging X amount, I'm going to make this all dynamic, this section all dynamic, because I know I can cover it with the cost. But it's being able to transition through. Like I've got sections that are dynamic, but then other sections of it within that one brand are static page builder pages because they were done before the dynamic part came into the builder.
Yeah.
That was just the gates opened up and there's this great light scenario when they brought that in.
Indeed. All right.
Has anyone used a component from Blue Coder called J filters out of curiosity?
Is that the J4 native article filter component?
Say that again, sorry.
Is that the J4 native article filter component or plugin so that you can filter between articles?
I think it allows you to set up fields. You can filter between from the fields.
Yeah, it's a filter. It filters your articles using custom fields, categories, and tags.
Yeah. No, I haven't used it.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else?
I've looked at it though. I'm probably about to use it. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of at that point where I might be wanting to look at it because I know they talk about being integrated with Yoo Theme as well. J4 and Yoo Themes. So
okay. Did not know that. So.
Yeah, so intrigued.
Sure.
It's been interesting watching your site, Nathan, because the site I'm working on is built on exactly the same tech. So I've got obviously the page builder, but also I'm using the DJ Mega menu, I'm using RSform Pro. So, and that's basically the core of it. You know, try not to get too many, otherwise you end up with the maintenance hell. But yeah, it's just been wild to see you building the same thing. It's kind of been refreshing. I've gone, oh, good, I made the right choice. If someone else is doing the same thing.
Cool. Oh, well, that probably makes me feel better too, then, I guess.
It does really make you think that moving to the Yoo Theme sort of ecosystem is going to, on the one hand, you're going to be paying for some of those extensions, but I'm just looking, one of the big sites I've got uses Minitech Wall Pro. It's basically a layout, filtering layout module for articles and categories.
I've got it running.
Yep. And which is really good. It does all the stuff I want it to, but I can really see that Yoo Theme is going to completely replace that kind of product. And as more people come up with Yoo Theme integrations, you're going to be looking for functional components rather than display orientated modules, for want of a better word.
Yeah, it pretty much can do the mega wall filter thing out of the box. I'm pretty sure. It's just a matter of actually configuring the settings correctly. But yeah, I think you're right, Martin. It's going to be more around the functional aspects.
It looks like it's the perfect replacement for all of my old Joomla bamboo stuff.
Totally.
Even to your, I think someone mentioned earlier, you don't need to just use modules or stuff that's designed for Yoo Theme builder. You can use anything. So before you were showing how you built that news page, we have like the hero article at the top and then a few other articles with a different style below and then everything below that. The project I'm working on, they wanted the same thing, but I didn't want to screw around with trying to do custom CSS to make it look the way they wanted it to. So I found another component that I think it's called Latest News Pro or something. And I was able to essentially reassemble that layout using these modules, which essentially gave me tools or gave the client tools where they could customize all the CSS, like put curvature around the images and define the borders and the colors, all through a menu system. And then they access that quite easily. And it's quite amazing how much you can now do without ever seeing any CSS if you want to, which I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but years and years, I started off in the mid-90s running small web studios, and you'd spend 6 to 12 months getting someone up to speed, hoping that they'd hang around once you train them. I think that onboarding a team of sort of good designers, people who've got good skills in terms of self-management, This sort of a tool gives you the ability to focus on getting people with those skills, as opposed to finding people who have got, you know, good design skills and a bit of a nerd head, which I think is hard.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very true.
Not that I want to go back to those days again, though.